Let's answer some questions. PFT PM policy, now that Russell Wilson is going to be a free agent for the first time, how much does it hurt him that his agent is a baseball agent with Wilson as his only NFL client, less connections and overall knowledge of NFL free agency, won't be able to just push for a massive max contract? Doesn't need to. Here's what he's going to do, I believe. 1 year veteran minimum deal. 1 year deal. $1.21 million. Broncos pay the rest. That's it. It's a matter of picking your destination. Simple negotiation. 1 year, $1.21 million. With no franchise tag, no restriction on him. I want 1 year. And then go to the market the following year, knowing that you're going to make $39 million no matter what. Most of it from the Broncos in 2024. So then the question becomes, which team says, we want you to come in and be our starter, not come in and compete. I don't think he's going to want to have to go anywhere and say, I have to win this job from this guy. He wants to be treated the way the Broncos treated him. But this time around, his next team doesn't have to give up multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, multiple players, and all that money. All they have to give up is $1.21 million for 1 year with Russell Wilson. Raiders, Steelers, Commanders, Falcons, and the Vikings if Kirk Cousins walks away. PFTPM policy, how can we say the NFL isn't fixing games? Even you say they break their own rules, telling refs to adjust the way they call games to help the offense, no false starts, holding, etc. And how do they do a 180 turn on anything for an extra $1? Well, how do I put this properly? I believe that incompetence explains 99.9% of the things we see, if not more, in an NFL game, because I don't believe the NFL is sufficiently competent to rig its own games. I don't think it can pull it off. There's too many people who would be in on it. There's too many moving parts. There's too much stuff that would have to happen. I don't think they're willing to do it. I don't think they're capable of doing it. That's why I believe it's not there. I'm not saying that there aren't some people with malevolent intentions who are in position to feather their own nest with whatever money they can make. I just think that it's too hard and they wouldn't be able to pull it off. It doesn't mean it's impossible. And we see the influence that one person can have, whether it's a coach, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a referee. There is an opportunity for a corrupt referee to try to change the outcome of a game. Yeah. I mean, Brad Allen on Saturday night. There's a chance I'm not saying this happened, but in theory, he knew exactly what was going on. He acted like he didn't to influence the outcome of the game. Phil Luckett, 1998, Thanksgiving. You said heads to Jerome Bettis or tails or whatever it was. Deliberately mishearing the coin toss. It was an accident. Okay, fine. It was an accident. Maybe it wasn't. One of these days it won't be. So I don't think the league would ever do it. I think there's an avenue for individuals to try. And that's why it's critical for the league to always be vigilant about who the people are who are officiating games, what the relationships are, whether to what extent they have gambling problems. And I think it goes beyond the officials. There's a potential iceberg out there with inside information that can be a problem. So I'm not ready to go there yet with the NFL fixing games. I don't think I ever will be. There's no reason for the NFL to fix games. They're making the money no matter what. And this is the kind of thing, if it blows up on them, they would lose a ton of money. It would be very bad for the brand if they were fixing games or if they wanted a certain team to win. But there is, I think, an avenue or 2 or 10 or 20 for people with selfish motivations to screw things up. And hopefully the NFL will take it seriously and put barriers in place to keep it from happening. Okay, I got to move through some of these quickly. Felt football, at what point is someone going to notice that Kobe Turner is the defensive player of the year? Maybe rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. He's got 9 sacks now. He had 2.5 against the Giants on Sunday. Defensive player of the year, I'm not ready to go that far. But he's close to, I think, breaking Aaron Donald's franchise rookie sack record. So they've done a great job of rebuilding that team without first-round picks. MC, Happy New Year. Michael, Happy New Year to you, MC. Why is there a rule regarding lineman eligibility in the first place? Why not just have the defense defend everything? The idea is you got 5 guys who aren't eligible. and it's not supposed to be a guessing game who those 5 guys are. The 5 offensive linemen are ineligible, and then you've got the 5 players who are eligible plus the quarterback. So if you're going to have an extra offensive lineman on the field, he's got to be eligible. One of those guys has got to be eligible. You can't just bring out 6 offensive linemen. One of them have to be eligible, even if he's not going to catch a pass. It's an extra offensive lineman in lieu of a receiver or a tight end. That's why it is what it is. And in this case, the issue was the Lions. Well, you already heard me say. Yeah, you heard me say. You don't need me to say it again. Dr. J144, am I imagining that during the Dan Snyder stuff, you said the NFL backed off the owners are held to a higher standard thing? If so, will that help Tepper now? Players get disciplined when they retaliate against fans who throw drinks at them. What Tepper did is worse than that. I think what I said during Snyder is they didn't want to create a standard for him that they would have to apply to themselves in the future. If you create a blueprint for taking out an owner, that blueprint can then be used to take out other owners. And I'd say it's like getting audited on your taxes. Nobody wants to be audited on your taxes because they're going to show up maybe looking for one thing, and they're going to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig, and they're going to find something else, something you didn't even know about. That's what happened to Dan Snyder. He ultimately had to sell because of stuff that was found once they came in and just started digging. They came in for another reason. It was still the same general reason, but until they start digging, they don't find it. So all it takes, and I think this is the concern for other owners, one sufficiently disgruntled employee who makes enough of a stink that it registers on the NFL's radar screen, and they bring in Mary Jo White or someone else to investigate. That's why I think Michael Bidwell, the Cardinals owner, has been a little nervous, because this whole thing with Terry McDonough could blow up on him. Now, as we see different bits and pieces come out, there's never been anything that really coalesces from a media standpoint and creates that kind of groundswell where the league says, yeah, we probably should investigate the Cardinals. But that's the concern. If something happens with a former employee or a current employee, and that person says something loudly enough that we hear it and we say, oh, that's bad, that's when the league may mobilize. And the next thing you know, old Jed's selling a team. All right, let's see what else I have. And I'm referring to Jed Clampett, not Jed York, by the way. I don't want any misunderstanding. Next thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. That's that. It was in that vein. All right, moving through these. A lot of great questions today. I appreciate it. Re-ask them all Wednesday if you really want them to be answered, because we will do this again on Wednesday. Fishman WVU, should the Commanders move on from Sam Howell and draft another quarterback, or try and draft a great lineman to protect the quarterback? Franchise quarterback, you either have one or you don't. If you have one, you're a contender year in and year out. If you don't, you're not. And I think they've seen enough from Howell to believe that he's not. Now, new coach might feel otherwise, but it would be one hell of a coincidence if they just happen to hire a guy who says, oh, you know what? Sam Howell is the quarterback I have been pining to coach. I'll pass on Drake May or Caleb Williams, and I'll go straight for Sam Howell. So, look, it's an unforgiving game, but quarterbacks get chewed up and spit out quickly in today's NFL. You get your opportunity and you better deliver. I mean, Jaron Hall for the Vikings, he had his opportunity last night, didn't deliver. And I didn't see anything from him, frankly, that makes me say, wow, hey, I see, there's a flash there. Oh, boy, if he could do that again repeatedly. That's the thing that Bill Walsh said. Peter King quotes it from time to time on PFT Live. The idea that if I see a guy do it once, I can coach him to do it over and over again. I didn't see anything last night from Jaron Hall that made me say, hey, there's a chance this guy's a keeper. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. You either perform at the acceptable level, at the highest level of football, or you don't. And if you don't, there's other levels of football that you could try to perform at, or you could just be a backup for your career, whatever the case may be. Pauline, our good friend across the pond, any New Year's resolutions that you can share? I don't make New Year's resolutions. I don't do it. I made one 20 years ago, maybe 21. I think it was 20 or 21, one of the two. I resolved that if ProFootballTalk.com is ever going to be anything other than just this little hobby that kicked out tiny amounts of cash, if it was ever going to be something that it could be, I had to work on it every single day. That was my New Year's resolution in either 2003 or 2004, and I have stuck to it every day since then. There has not been a day that has gone by that I have not worked on ProFootballTalk.com in some form or fashion, some way, shape, or form, every day, no days off. And that was one of the keys. Now, there were other things that had to happen, but at some point, if you have something that you think could take off, at some point you got to resolve to put in the work in. And you can't do it some of the time. You got to do it all the time. You got to do it every day, or it's not going to get to where you think it can be. Liam Kelly, if Lamar sits out this week, would his MVP possibility be in jeopardy at all? No, I think he's got it. And the Associated Press doesn't really like the voters to say before the season's over, I'm definitely voting for this guy, but something dramatic and unforeseen would have to happen to get me to change the top of my ballot from Lamar Jackson at this point. They're the 1 seed. They took down the 49ers, who have the other potential candidates. I think it's simple at this point. It's Lamar Jackson. Now, if Josh Allen would throw for 600 yards on Sunday and 7 touchdown passes as the Bills beat the Dolphins to become the 2 seed in the AFC, would that be enough? Remember, it was 11 years ago. It looked like Peyton Manning had it locked up, and Adrian Peterson went off in the final week of the season and almost caught Eric Dickerson for the single-season rushing record, and that swung it toward Adrian Peterson. So I'm not saying it's impossible. And again, I haven't finalized my position yet because there is still one more week of games to play. All right. Boy, I keep looking. I keep seeing good ones. I want to stop this. Mac Moon, what are your personal thoughts on the Peyton Russ situation? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Mac Moon. My personal thought is football is business. They say football is family, but football is business. And they say football is family because it's good for business to say football is family. It's all a business. And I know that it's like finding out wrestling is fake. Like when you're a fan, you don't want to hear that. I remember when somebody, and I was an adult at the time. I was 23, 24 years old. All football is a business. I didn't want to hear that. I want to think of it as the purity of the sport. I don't want to think about the fact that decisions get made based on dollars and cents, not what's good for the game. But it's one business decision after another, and they are cold and they are impersonal and they can be dehumanizing. Every player on an NFL roster is eventually going to be released or traded or not re-signed. Very rarely does a guy say, you know what, they still want me here, but I'm going to walk away. They still want me. This isn't a retirement where they really don't want me, so I'm retiring and I'm walking out with my head held high. They really do want me, and I'm choosing to not play. That doesn't happen very often. The vast majority of players are just going to be chewed up and spit out, and we bring in somebody else, and the machine keeps going. We were talking yesterday about just some of the names of great players of the past 20 years that you just forget all about. Like Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, just to name a few, just some of the names that came up. Guys who were great, great, great players, and the game moves on, and we just forget about them because we're focused on the guys currently in the game. So my point is this. The Broncos made a business decision to trade for Russell Wilson. They made a business decision to pay Russell Wilson. Now they're making a business decision to move on from Russell Wilson. And until they move on from him, they're putting him to the side so they don't have to pay him $37 million for 2025. That's a business decision. And he's got to make business decisions. Everybody in the business makes business decisions. So, they say it's not personal, it's just business. I think with the NFL, that's true. Now, every once in a while, it gets personal. When it gets personal, it's a problem because it gets in the way of good business decisions. I think the Broncos are trying to make good business decisions. Wilson's going to have to make good business decisions, and he's going to be available to a team that wants to make the business decision to make him their quarterback in 2024. All right, on that note, my God, I don't know how long I've been going. I think it's well over an hour. So thank you. Happy New Year. PFT Live, Tuesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. PFT PM coming up on Wednesday, and full coverage of everything happening in the NFL around the clock at ProFootballTalk.com. Happy New Year. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you again real soon. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.